Hi all, very happy to welcome you to the Angular interview questions, okay, by Karthik. So in this session we are going to see around 25 questions, okay. So let's move on to our first question. Why Angular is so popular? This is one of the basic question which comes up in our mind, okay. Why in a short span of time suddenly the Angular became popular. Angular and other front-end technologies became popular. Before we had only back-end technologies like Java and .NET. But suddenly, why? What happened? The basic reason is okay. You may remember before we used to do so much DOM interaction, like document dot set element ID, document dot get element ID, and we used to write the code for updating something in the DOM or getting it from the DOM. But with the advent of Angular, this is completely removed. Okay, the Angular took care of all the low-level things like updation in the DOM. Okay, and the developer was made to only work on the business logic. Okay, so this subsequently reduced the cost and so this is the reduction of cost means more profit to the company, right? So that's why Angular became so popular. And the other big reason why Angular is popular is single page application. Before you would have seen for in before server end technologies you would have seen for each request, okay, it goes to the server and fetches the HTML. But with Angular, with the help of all the bundler like Webpack and Gulp, all the code comes to the front end even when the user tries to log in itself. So there is no reason for it to go for every HTML. It goes to the backend only for data, okay, through REST API. So this reduced the calls to the server and efficiency got improved subsequently. So these are the three major reasons why Angular became so popular. The next question is, what is the architecture of Angular? As you see here, in any Angular application, we have a module in the top. Inside the modules, okay, we have components. Maybe the components are called as building blocks, which are brought together by the modules. Okay, and in your Angular application, that can be more than one module also, which is based on functionality, and all the bundle modules are brought together by the root module. And here you can see the component, right? The component has a component class and a template, that is the view. Okay, so whatever you update in the component gets binded to the template through property binding, and from the template to component via event binding. So metadata is something which tells to Angular, which makes your class as a special class, like a component or a pipe or directive, whatever. So this is what the metadata means here. And in Angular, even in a component level, you can see MVC design. Like model is the data through the bindings, and view is the template, and controller is the component. And other thing is the directive. Directive, there are many types of directive. One type of directive, you can just create your own tags. When you put that directive, it will substitute with the HTML. It will put the HTML inside the tag, or you can write a business logic. Like if you want to make all the input elements as red color or green color, you can write a special type of directive and put that inside the input element. That also can be done. And the other part is services. Services in Angular is something where we write the business logic, and this can be made available to any of the components through injector. Injector creates the inserts the dependency, but if you want it in any component, you have to simply put that component in the constructor of that, put that service in the constructor of the component. Okay, this is about architecture of Angular. Okay. let's move on to the next question. What is meant by a single page application? This is one of the important question. Single page application means in Angular we have only one HTML. Maybe I will show you when we do create application. In any Angular application, you will have only one HTML. Inside that HTML, many components gets inserted, but the HTML is the same. That's what it is meant by single page application. The HTML will remain the same. And how you will create an Angular CLI project? It is very simple by using this command. Let me create that command. Let me just new my app. Maybe I will make it as 4. Now it will create the application, a skeleton application for us. You say I want routing and I select CSS. Now it will create all the packages which is required for us for the application to start. So let us wait. It may take a couple of minutes. Let us wait. Now it has got created for us. This is our application. Let me open it in VS Code. VS Code is one of the good IDEs for Angular application. Let me open this folder which got created. Just I created something called my app 4. Okay. So this is my application. Let me start that application. To starting, we have to give ngserve. Okay. So all the modules are inserted, installed for us. So our only work is running ngserve, serving that application. Now it has completed the serving the application. So let us see now the application. Okay. So it should be here. So normally it starts in 4200. So this is the skeleton of the application which is created by Angular application, Angular CLI. Okay. And the ng always points to Angular CLI. Okay. And for Angular CLI, you have to first install Node, and with the Node, you have to install Angular CLI, npm install Angular CLI. Now our application is served. So let's go on to the next question. Now we have created the application and served the application. Okay. So to explain the flow of Angular CLI project which got created now, let's go to the application. So in any application, it starts with index.html. That one you can find it here. When I said that it is a single page application, I told the Angular application has only one HTML. So this is the only HTML which the Angular application has, and all the components get inserted inside this HTML. So this is why it is called a single page application. Okay. So here you can see this index.html, but when you go to the application how it is served, and if you source and see, maybe if you use the page source, you may see this extra lines. These lines have been inserted by Angular CLI, and now if you see this line which got inserted by Angular CLI, you will find something called main.js, right? So you will see something called main.js. This is the file which the index HTML sources, and this file you will see it in our application, the main.ts. This is the file which got converted to main.js. Uh, okay, and if you see in this code, you will see a code for bootstrapping the app module. Okay, this index.html starts the main.ts, and main.ts starts the app module, which is the root module. And the app module you can find it in app.module. Okay, which is inside app.module. This app module, the root module, is responsible for creating the environment and creating the instance of the root component, that is the app component. Here the root component is app component, and here you will find this in app component. So the root module will create an instance of this, whatever is present in bootstrap array. It will create a component of instance of that component and insert it in the selector specified by the component. Okay, here the selector is specified as app root. So it will try to search it in index.html, and it will insert the component inside app root. So this is what would have happened in our root application. We can see that if you inspect here, you will see that. You will see inside app root, it has got inserted. The complete HTML, component HTML has got inserted inside app root. So this is how the application is started by Angular CLI. Okay. And what is meant by metadata in Angular? Metadata is nothing but in Angular, right? Everything is a JavaScript class. There should be some information you have to provide to Angular to say that it is a component, this is a directive, this is a pipe. There should be some information. That information is called metadata. Okay. And when you choose TypeScript, how you provide metadata is different. When you write it in JavaScript, how you provide metadata is different. And when you choose CoffeeScript, how you write metadata is different. Okay. And what is decorators in Angular? I will first show that what is decorators. Decorators, these are called as decorators. Okay, NgModule, and we saw a component, right? So these are called as decorators. Decorators in Angular. So decorators are something by which we provide metadata in TypeScript. The decorator does not belong to Angular. In TypeScript, we provide the metadata. That is how to process the class. We tell it to Angular through decorators. So NgModule is a decorator, and add component is a decorator, add pipe is a decorator. So we tell to Angular that this is not a simple class, this is a module, and in this case we tell it is a component. So process it in that way. Okay. So this is about decorators in Angular. So what is root module and root component? What is root module is whatever is specified in main.ts. In this case, the app module is the root module. Okay. Whatever you specify in the main.ts is the root module. And whatever you specify in the bootstrap in app module, the root module is the root component, because this is the component which the root module will first create and insert it into the selector which is present in the index.html. Okay. So let's move on to the next question. Why root module is needed? What does a root module do? What a root module does is it sets up the execution environment. The root module in our case is app module. It sets up the execution environment, and it has many components like declarations, imports, exports. Using that, it creates the environment, and other important stuff it does is to start the root component. it first digs inside the bootstrap. Okay, whatever is present inside bootstrap, it puts into the appropriate selector which is present in the index.html. It basically creates an instance and puts that HTML component HTML inside the tag which is specified in the index.html. Okay, so what is meant by NgModule and what does it contain? So NgModule, we have seen it here, right? You see here in all the modules. So all the modules, NgModule is nothing but a decorator which tells to Angular that this is a module, and it also has the configurations. Okay, all the modules will have NgModule. Don't assume that only the root module will have NgModule. All the modules will have NgModule. Okay, and this is a way of telling Angular that this is a module. Okay, what are the components is, we have declarations where you specify all the things you write, like the pipes, components, directives, everything. You have to put it inside the directives so that Angular knows those belong to this component. Okay, those belong to this module, and inside the module, whenever it comes across that selector, it will do the appropriate things. Okay, and imports are something where you specify some other module which will be imported by Angular, imported by NgModule for us. Okay, here I have put browser module and app routing module because we needed browser module. This is the default and app routing module. Okay, if we write some other module, okay, in this application, if we write some other module, that also needs to be put inside imports so that Angular application makes that module available for us. Okay, we will also have exports. Okay, here I will mention all the components which I want to export from this module. If somebody else imports my module, I want to export these components. Whatever I specify in the exports, I want to make that component available for them. In that case, I put it inside exports. Okay. Providers is something where I will write the services which I want the all the components to make it available to all the components. So if any component needs that service, that component will specify it in the constructor so that it is available for it. Then last one is Bootstrap. This one is available only for the root module. Okay, don't think this is available for all the modules. You may write many modules, but the Bootstrap is available only for the root module. Okay, so this is whatever you write inside the array of a Bootstrap module is what it creates an instance and puts it inside the index.html tag. This is selector specified by that. In this case, the app component selector is uh, app root, so it will put that component inside approot, which is available in index.html. So these are the components available in NgModule. Hope you understood. Let's move on to the next question. Is more than one module possible, and how to import it to the current application? Yes, more than one module is possible. Normally in a real-time application, we will divide the big application into modules based on that functionality. Maybe if you have a employee functionality, student functionality, and people functionality, we will divide the big application based on the modules. Okay, for employee we'll have a separate module, for student we'll have a separate module, like so. And all this module we can make it available in the root module by specifying it in the imports. Okay, we have to specify that whatever you wrote, right, that we have to specify in the imports, and whatever components you want it to use it in the root module, you can export it from that module. Whatever component, you can mention it in the exports of that module. Okay. So let's move on to the next question. So the next question is, in the Angular application, whether a file gets to the front end, like the server end technologies, whenever the user clicks on a particular link, will it get it from the server? That file is got from the server, or is it bundled? Okay. So in Angular application, as I mentioned earlier, it is a single page application, and in Angular, we when we log in itself, we get the entire code. Okay, the HTML, JS, every code is go to the front end and it is bundled. We bundle it normally in Angular CLI application. It is bundled by Webpack. Okay, and that bundle is completely sent to the front end, and the Angular application will use the bundle. Okay, for any of its HTML or JS, it will use that bundle. Okay, whenever the no data is needed, it will just use the bundle. Only when the data is needed, it goes to the server and fetches the data to through REST API call. Okay, so it is bundled. Now in Angular CLI application, it is bundled by Webpack. Here you can see that. I can show you that. So if you inspect and see, just go to the sources. So this is the bundle file, and this file has the entire code. Maybe you can see app module, app routing module, component, and app module as well. App module. So the entire file is being stuffed into this single file and sent, so that the Angular will completely make use of this for rendering. Only for data it goes to the server. So it is done using Webpack. The Angular CLI by default uses Webpack. You can see that Webpack everywhere. Okay. Okay. And coming to our next question, what is meant by property binding? As we saw in the architecture of Angular, you would have seen the view component. Whatever you write in component is made available in the view. This is happening because there is a binding happening from the component class to the template, that is the view. So let me see that in action. Let me go to the app component file. So let me this is the data which is being shown there. Okay, app component.html, which is got inserted. Let me delete this so that I will be able to show clearly. And here a title is already available in app component. If I want to bind this title to the HTML through property binding, what I need to do is I have to put input, and this is for property binding. Okay, so here I am interested to bind the value of the input element with title, which is from the component class. Okay, when you do like this, the title should be binded from the component class to the view. The value should be binded with the title from the component class. Let me see that. Let me show that. So now you can see my app 4. It got correctly binded. Okay. Okay. Because my app 4 is present over there. This is called as property binding. Okay. You can also do interpolation. Okay. This is one way of binding the property. You can also directly bind the title value. That is also possible. Okay. Now you should see both the values. My app 4. But when you change it, it will not change, because this my app 4 will not change, because you have created only one way. For creating other way, you have to create event binding. So that we will see in the next question. What is meant by event binding? If I want to make a change from the view to the class, I will make use of event binding. For that, let me do that. So let me add a click. Whenever somebody clicks on this, I will call the some element on input click, something I will have it. Okay, I will have something called on input click, and whenever if somebody clicks on this input element, I want to call this function which is available in the component class. So let me write that component class here. So I will write something element click. Okay. So let me check now whether it is getting clicked. When you click on this, if you open the console, you should be seeing element click. You are able to see, right? So we are able to do the event binding from the view to the class. For event binding, we will do it like this. We have to put a right this open and close brackets. Okay, this type of brackets we have to use. And this click is belongs to the events which are available for the element where you are interested. Maybe input element has like input many others. Likewise, for a different element, it has different events. For it is based on the events which are available for that particular element. Here, what I'm doing is I am binding the click event of the input element, and whenever that happens, Angular will call all on input click which is available in my component class. Okay, so this is about event binding. Is there two-way binding possible in Angular? Yes, it is possible by combining both event binding and property binding. Okay, so let me do it the same using event binding. For that, what we have to do is we have to put combine both and put it as NgModule and say title. Okay, now we have created a two-way binding using NgModule. So whenever the any user changes this input element, this title should also change because this is binded from the component class. So this NgModule will also change the component class. So this title should also change. So let us see that. For using NgModule, we have to import forms module. Okay, maybe I missed that. So the forms module is from Angular forms. Now we have added that forms module. Let us check now. Now it should work. So now whenever the user changes the input element, it gets binded to the component class, and from the class this is binded through property binding. Okay, so whenever the user changes anything, this is getting changed. There is also another way of doing this NgModule. We can also have expanded, like separating both the event and property. If you want to do that, it is like this. Just take out this, and we can have it like this. NgModule change equal to title equal to $event. So $event is for this $event you will see for all the events. This is an event which is exposed by Angular. Okay, $event for any event. This $event will have the complete information about the event which is happening in this input element. Okay, here the $event has the value input by the user. So that event I'm trying to directly assign it to title. Okay. So this is more elaborate way of doing the same thing. You can just use this. Okay, this is to I wrote this for you to understand. Okay, by this also it will change. Okay, you are able to see, right? All the elements are getting changed. Okay, next question. So this is what we saw now. Let's move on to the next question. Is the two-way bonding possible without NgModule? How can we do that? Yes, it is possible. Without NgModule also you can do two-way binding. We can ourselves combine both input binding and output binding. Okay, so let me do it in this case. So let me add a value of title. What I will do is I will add a event binding. So there is a input event which is available for an input element. So whenever the user changes any input, I want this event to get called, and from that input event I will take the target value also. So I will just assign that target value. So if I put event dot target dot value, I should be able to see that I should be able to get that input which is typed by the user. So that I am assigning it to title. So now in this case also I should be able to see able to do that two-way binding. So let me try that. Now also it is, you can see, right, whatever getting inputted gets binded to the title which is present in the component class, and it gets binded to the property as well. Okay, through interpolation. This property is available here. Okay, title which is getting populated by interpolation. Okay, let me go to the next question. What is meant by directives in Angular? Directives in Angular is nothing but right, like an instruction to the DOM. Okay, you have an input element in HTML, right? Whenever that input element is seen by the browser, it creates an input element. Likewise, if I want to create my own tag, so whenever that tag is seen by Angular, I wanted to insert the HTML which I wrote. For that you can write a component directive. We can also write a logic using insert a logic inside a element using structural directive or attribute directive. When we do that way, what will happen is whenever we put that directive inside any of the elements, okay, that input element may become blue or red color based on the logic we wrote. Okay, so this is meant by directives in Angular. There are in logic you can write in structural attribute directive. If I want to write some logic into an input element, you can write it by structural attribute. Components, you can create your own tag. So coming to our next question, what are types of directive? we have three types of directive, that is structural, attribute directives, and components. Structural directive is for creating a structure. As I told, if I'm interested to create or destroy tags, okay, if I want to maybe like NgF, if I want based on a condition, if I want to destroy or if I want to repeat that tag, I can go for structural directive. Attribute directive is for change in the appearance, like applying some style to input element where I put this directive. So those type of directives are called attribute directives. Components are a special type of directive which have their own HTML. So when you insert this tag inside any component, so that the HTML of that component will be inserted inside that selector. Okay, this is about components. Okay, going to our next question. What is the difference between structural and attribute directive? As I told, structural attribute is for whenever you put this type of directive. Uh, for example, structural directive ngif and ngfor. When you put it inside an element, it will either duplicate that element by using like for example ngfor, or destroy the element based on a condition, for example ngif. So these type of directives will create or destroy the element where this directive is being put. Attribute directive will change the appearance of the element, like change in the background color using ng style or ng class. So attribute changes the appearance, okay, appearance, and structural the structure. That's why it is called as structural. And other major differences, all structural directive will put a star before that to denote it is structural. Okay, how ngif and ngfor works. Okay, let me let me go to that example. So let me add a ngif here. Okay, if I want to add a ngif here, what I will do is, as I told all the structural directive, you have to put ngif is a structural directive. It is used for creating or destroying the element. Now I am going to either destroy the element or show the element using ngif. Okay, just put like this, and you are supposed to put a condition here. If I say show this element only when the title is ABC. Okay, ABC. It will be better to show the difference. We'll add another element input NgModule, maybe title 1. I will have added another element. You can also make this title 1 available there, and I can put it something called ABC. So here I am saying that only when title 1 is equal to ABC you show this element. Okay, what I've written is only when the title 1, this element title 1 value is ABC, I want to show this input element. Okay, let me go back there to here. Now this element is shown because the value is ABC. If I change the value to something else, this input element will be hidden. You are able to see, once you make it ABC, it will be rendered again. Okay, so this is how it shows or creates or shows or destroys the element ngif. ngfor is used for creating the element by duplicating that element. Okay, if for that I will add an array here, maybe I'll add something called test values or something, and I will have 1 2 3 4 5 6. So I have added 6 elements. Now for all the 6 elements I want to create a div element 6 times with this value. Okay, for that what I will do, will just simply add a ng4. We'll add a div star ng4 because this is a structural directive. Okay, let ball of test values, just type like this. And what I want is it ng4 has to repeat these this one for how many values is present in test values. We'll also add an interpolation here with val. So for each duplication of this value, the val will be that particular value from test values. Maybe first time it will be 1, second time it will be 2, 3, 4, 5, likewise. Okay. So if I go and see that my app, so now you can see that it has repeated it 6 times. If you go and inspect and see, you will see that div getting repeated for each element in the test values. Okay. So it has created, because ng4 is a structural attribute, it has created, it has duplicated the values, to create the element. Okay, it has created 6 elements basically. Okay, so coming to our next question, working of ng class and ng style. Ng class and ng style changes the appearance of element. Okay, so these are called as attribute directives. So let me move on to the question, move on to the application. Now let's first see ng class. If I want to show this one in green color, for showing the ng class, I also need a CSS class element. Okay, let me add one. Maybe I will add a red color, put background color red. Okay, so now I want to apply this color conditionally. It is similar to a class you would have seen, right? But this is more dynamic. Ng class is dynamic. You can add it based on conditions. Okay, so if I add the ng class here, ng class you have to put it inside brackets, square brackets, and here I am telling Angular to apply this red color based on a condition. Okay, I will apply this red color only when the title one is ABC. If it is not ABC, it will not apply red color. So you can see how dynamic it is. If you add class, you will not have this. This class is going to be static, not dynamic. Okay. So it has applied the red color because the value is ABC. If I change the value, it will not apply the red color anymore. Okay. So this is about ng class. Now see, coming to ng style is going to be similar, but instead of class we are going to add a style, directly style. Okay, I can make this itself. Here also it should be in brackets. Okay, I can, as I told you, this should be directly style. We are not interested to add a class for this. Okay, you can simply say background color, and you have to say what color you want, right? Maybe you can add some element here called color and put it as red. And that element you can mention it here. Now it will be red color because the color which is available in the component class is red. So it will be red color. If you see, it will be red color all through. Even if you change or not, it will be always be applying this color red. if this color gets changed in the component class, okay, if I in the component class, if I change this to green color, it will be green color because the green will be binded to color and the background color will change to green. Now it will be showing green color. Okay. Hope you understand what is ng class and ng style and how it is working. Okay. Now let's move on to the next question. Why is component special directives? Components are called as special directives because these are the only type of directive which have HTML. We saw attribute and structural. We would have seen that structural and attribute never had their own HTML. Those type of directives are used only for putting logic inside a element, but components are only directive where you can write your HTML, own HTML, and whenever the Angular sees that selector, it will insert that component HTML inside that selector, as it happened for app root, right? We saw something called app root, right? This selector was named as app root. Okay, so this selector, when we inserted it in index.html, and whenever Angular saw this app root, it inserted this component HTML for us, right? This component HTML got inserted inside app root for us, right? I can show you that as well. So if you inspect and see, all this are inserted inside app root because whenever the Angular saw app root, it inserted the component for us, component HTML for us. Coming to our next question. What is MVC design available in Angular? This I already mentioned. MVC design is available in Angular in a component level itself. Okay, in a component level itself, we can see a MVC design. That is, model is here. The model is the data which gets binded from component to the view, and the view is the template, the HTML of the component. That is the view, and controller is the component class. Okay, so the MVC design is available in component level itself in Angular. Okay, coming to our next question. So how to create a component in Angular? It is very simple. Okay, for creating a component in Angular, just in the terminal you type ng generate component example. I want to create an example component maybe. Okay, so this will create a component for us and put it inside example folder. Okay, you can see HTML example words. By default it provides HTML with example words, and it also generated a selector for us. If we put this selector in the root component, you should be able to see this component. Okay, let me put this inside the root component. So that example words should be seen there when you go to that. When you go to this app, and we are seeing that component, right? And this should be inside the app example, right? That inside the selector of the component. Okay, hope this is clear. Thank you guys. See you in the next video. Thank you.